Okay, welcome everybody to tasting number 173 of the Saratoga Whiskey Club. Um, Very excited to have part three of our journey across Scotland, doing as many distilleries as possible, hopefully all of them, even though I'm sure there will be some that we'll have to pass by, mostly because of price, but a lot of them probably are really hard to find also. So, and if you can find them, they're probably too expensive anyhow. But we're going to do as many as possible. This is part three, and we're going alphabetically. We are leaving the A's today. So that's a pretty exciting thing. We'll be moving into the B's, and we'll be in the B's for a little while. But we're going to start out tonight. Actually, all of these bottles I think are going to be really fun. I kind of picked and choose different types of barrels, not the typical maybe expressions from some of these distilleries, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. Some of these distilleries we've had, a number of expressions from before. So I tried to find maybe things that would be a little bit different. Not all of them, but some of them. And so to start off tonight, we are going to do an A. It's Arran, the island of Arran, which is kind of in between the mainland and the Campbelltown Peninsula, the Kintyre Peninsula. It's kind of sits right there. I'm going to play a video, but I'm going to read a little bit about them too. They were opened in 1995, so they're not a very old distillery. There used to be a lot of illicit distilling on Arran. It was one of the most populous places for illegal distilling, easy access to the water, to get to Glasgow as well, to bring in barrels. So that's why a lot of people took refuge on Arran to do illegal distilling. The most recent legally founded distillery on Arran, called Lag, closed in 1837. So there was a long period of time before they restarted distilling on Arran. But before then, there was a lot. There were over 50 distilleries on the island, all doing illicit distilling. And one of them happened to be called Log, which is the last one that closed. And currently, Log is the sister distillery now for Arran. And Lag is focusing on peated whiskey, and eventually we'll get to the L's, and we'll have a Lag whiskey, which is on the southern part of the island. But we're focusing on the northern side of the island at this point, which the distillery now is truly being called Lochranza, because that is where it's located. And to differentiate itself from Lag, they're calling it Lochranza. So traditionally we called it Arran because it was the only distillery on Arran, but now there is Lag. So now they're calling Arran Lochranza to confuse us even more. So I'm going to play a little video. I'll tell you about this whiskey before we play the video, but this is a single private cask bottling from Arran. It came like this. It came in a box as well. One of those, everybody in Scotland seems to waste a lot of money on cardboard. But yeah, so this is a private cask that I was able to source. Actually, pretty much everything except for the Balblair I had to source from the UK for this tasting. This is actually a UK exclusive. It says it right on the bottle, UK exclusive. There were, let's see, 635 bottles of this cask. Let's see, it is, it was distilled in 2012, bottled in 2022, so it's 10 years old. It is bottled at 59.5% ABV. Based on the color, I'm going to guess it's a sherry cask. They don't actually say it on the bottle, but you can oh yeah, no, they do. Oloroso Hogshead. So Oloroso Hogshead barrel. So I'm going to play a video about Arran, and we can get this tasting started. Sláinte, everybody, and just hold tight while I share my screen here. And point the okay, I'm gonna move this over, do some close. I keep it open. It's fine. All right, here's a little bit of
The word whiskey is derived from Scots Gaelic, water of life. But not all water is equal.
Gotta wait for a little
Every
buffer.
drop of every dram of Arran single malt begins its life amongst the pure Scottish waters of Lochranza. Rainwater pools here amongst the beautiful hills behind the distillery and then begins its journey onwards, passing our distillery in the foothills on its way out to the sea. Clear waters cascade through the 6 purifying waterfalls, repeatedly cleansed by granite before congregating in the natural amphitheatre of Lochranza. This organic purification process allows us to create a neat, sweet dram, unadulterated and enjoyed the world over. Nestled between the Kintyre Peninsula and the Firth of Clyde, 60 kilometres and a short ferry southwest of Glasgow, this hidden haven enjoys a warm microclimate. Sea breezes, clear mountain air, and mild seas warmed by the Gulf Stream make it ideal for distilling and living alike. One beautiful island, now home to our 2 distilleries, Lochranza and Lag. They are separated by the Highland boundary fault, which runs across the isle's middle, splitting the rugged mountains of Arran's Highland North from its lush lowland south. While today we are the keepers of the only 2 distilleries on the Isle of Arran, we are the custodians of an age-old tradition. For centuries, the island has held a reputation for producing the highest quality whisky. In the past, to increase their income, small Arran communities made their own spirit from illicit homemade stills. The resulting whisky, known as Arran water, was smuggled from Lag and the southern shores of the island to be sold on mainland Scotland, regardless of legality, aided by the Isle's clear waters, all made superlative spirits. Our home has always been a fine place to make good whisky, but when quantity was prized over quality, our wee island couldn't compete economically, and one by one the distilleries fell into disuse. After the Lag distillery closed in 1840, it would be a long time before the world once again got to enjoy the unique taste of an Arran single malt. In the early 90s, the search began for the perfect site for a new distillery. Following the first-class pure waters of Lochranza, we too settled upon the village of Lochranza. The revival of the island's ancient whisky tradition became tangible first in the breaking of ground in December 1994, and then as the first spirit ran through the spirit safe in June 1995. Construction of the distillery was paused to allow 2 golden eagles a secure nest in the crag overlooking our Lochranza home. These spectacular creatures returned on the day our visitor centre was officially opened by Her Majesty the Queen. Their fly past an auspicious omen for Arran's first distillery in more than 150 years. Our goal remains the same now as back then: produce the finest whisky from the purest methods. The first official commercially available 10-year Arran malt followed in 2006. Its natural colour, its notes of vanilla, classic citrus, orchard fruits, and its smooth finish remain the cornerstone of our collection. In the time since, oh how our Arran single malt family has grown. Besides the 10-year-old, we have our ever-popular barrel reserve single malt, cask strength partners quarter cask, the Bothy, and sherry cask, the Bodega. We are proud to have our oldest and rarest casks in our full-bodied 18-year-old. It sits alongside the jewel in our crown, the 25-year-old single malt. But we've not stopped there. In our pursuit of the perfect dram for every palate, we've also added our wine cask finish expressions, featuring port, Amarone, and Sauternes. Our peated Lochranza malt, the MacPhail, and the delicious Arran Gold cream liqueur.
Nearly all our single malts are non-chill filtered, and all colouring is naturally derived from the casks that we use. It really stands testament to the reverence in which we treat the distillation process.
Our Lochranza distillery is placed in the village behind the loch from which it takes its name. As one of the few independent distilleries in Scotland, and one that proudly follows traditional practice, we promise a particularly fascinating experience. Cottages and guest houses dot the road from the waterfront to our distillery, where a dram and a warm welcome await you. Since the opening and establishing of the multi-award-winning Lochranza distillery, our journey continued from the northern to the southern tip of the island.
Okay, we're not gonna focus on Lag, which obviously is their newer distillery that does the peated malt. Now, what's interesting is she mentioned the Auchroisk, which is actually a peated expression that is produced at Lochranza. So they were making a peated expression as well. It just, most of their whiskeys were unpeated, but pretty beautiful island. I highly recommend going if you can. Really, really relaxing. It's actually a vacation spot for many, as you can imagine, with its proximity to Glasgow. Actually, when I was there, I can't remember what year it was now. Shalom and I hiked to the top of the highest mountain on Arran. It was absolutely beautiful. A full day of hiking, but it was just perfect. So what do you guys think of this?
Awesome.
Pretty nice.
Very nice.
I like that it's a refill hogshead. You know, if it, or actually, is it refill or is it just Oloroso hogshead? It's on the back.
Oloroso.
Charles, your note says fresh hogshead.
Oh, maybe it is a first fill, but at least it's a hogshead. That's good.
Pretty heavy cherry flavor on it.
Any IBs with Arran?
Not a lot. No.
I feel like I don't see many single casts from them. And I really loved every single cast. Their standard line is okay, but I feel like every single cast I've had.
I can't. Holly, have we ever had an IB of Arran?
Yes, from PM Spirits. Remember that random like 7-year-old? But it's very rare. Yeah.
Yeah.
That whiskey hoop one we had years ago.
Oh yeah.
An Arran, and I think that was my highest rated whiskey ever.
Nice.
So I've always kept an eye.
Yeah. I mean, they make some really great stuff. There's no question about it. And when you can find single casks like this one that we're having, you know, they can be really delicious. Let me see here, messages. Oh, I didn't see all these messages.
Charles Lochranza is what they used to just call Arran, but now that they have two, they've differentiated.
Well,
I was battling with your email before, and
so Lochranza is where they're located, but the distillery was always called Arran because it was the only distillery on the island. Yeah. But then when Lag came about, they needed to differentiate themselves even more because it couldn't be, I mean, it still is the name of the island, but they're now referring it to as Lochranza. So just to kind of make sure you understand which distillery it is you're talking about. But they're both owned by the same people, same company. So pretty amazing though that they have a 25-year out there too. That's pretty special.
What's the ABV on this one, Charles?
It was 59.1, I think. 59.5.
That does not
actually
59 either. Like,
no.
You could tell me this is just a 50, and that'd be okay.
And what did this cost?
Yeah.
I knew somebody was going to ask that. And Shalom's not even here. I don't know.
Price?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I'm pretty sure I wrote it down.
Crazy that's our first one also. Usually it's the first one.
It was $191.22.
Wow.
How much was it?
$191.22. All of these are up there for this tasting, just so you know.
Can you imagine what the 25-year would cost?
Yeah, well, again, the 25-year is not a single cask, so
Okay.
this is a single cask 10-year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That does have a nice flavor in your mouth, though.
I'm surprised he said most of their single malts are not chill filtered.
And not all.
Did he say most? He didn't say all?
He said most.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. Well,
mostly not.
Mostly.
yeah, I don't know. I wonder. I'm curious which one isn't chill filtered. You know, that'd be kind of or which one is chill filtered. I'd be curious to know what that is. Maybe we should have had that Irish cream that they had.
That looked good.
Maybe that should have been our dram tonight. You know?
There you go.
That could be fun.
Yeah, I don't think it would last too long in a little vial, unfortunately. I think we'd probably get sick or something like that, but you never know. All right. What do you guys think? Good first start?
Great start.
Very good.
Good start.
It's all downhill.
Nice start.
All right, we're moving on. We're now moving on to Auchentoshan. They are an interesting distillery. They have been around actually quite a while. Let me see here. They were built in 1823. So now we're going back a little bit in time here. They were found or built by a corn merchant named John Bullock and managed by his son. And of course, they went bankrupt and sold to Alexander Filshie, another local farmer who had it till 1877. And then he had a bad harvest and sold it again. And it was acquired eventually by Glasgow distillers John and George McLaughlin. And then around the area around the distillery was damaged during the Second World War. And a bomb crater behind the distillery now acts as the pond for cooling water. And the distillery was bought by Edie Cairns in 1969, who rebuilt it completely. And then they sold, and then he sold Auchentoshan to the whiskey blender Stanley Morrison, which later became known as Morrison Bowmore Distillers in 1984. And then Suntory invested in Morrison Bowmore in 1989. And in 94, they acquired 100% of its holdings, including Auchentoshan Distillery. So Auchentoshan is part of the Suntory Global Spirits line. So that's kind of interesting. And the other real kind of differentiator with Auchentoshan, and actually I do have another video to show you a little bit of that distillery as well, is that they triple distill. So we always hear about triple distillation in Ireland, and they like to promote that a ton. It's kind of one of the Irish ways of doing things. Auchentoshan has been doing triple distillation as well throughout its entirety. And what I heard when I was there was that in Glasgow, they had a really big Irish population. A lot of Irish people at one point came into Scotland to leave Ireland for whatever reason. And so a lot of the Glaswegians have some Irish background to them. And from what I understood, that's why Auchentoshan is actually very close to Glasgow. It's just a 20-minute bus ride from Glasgow, easy day trip. So that's kind of what I heard was one of the reasons why they triple distill. But let me see if I can pull up this video here. Let me talk about the whiskey first. Sorry. All right, so this one's pretty interesting. You don't also find a lot of, well, you find some, but not a ton of Auchentoshan in the IB, in the independent bottling world. We've had a couple here. One recently that I'm surprised sat on the shelf for as long as it did. But this is a 12-year that's bottled by a group called Brave New Spirits, which is another one of these newer independent bottling companies. They say Brave New Spirits presents a Cask Noir production, and this bottle is called Picnic on the Corner of the Field. It is first fill Marsala Barrique. Okay, so red wine, dessert wine, Marsala, 58.6% ABV. I don't think it says the number of bottles. Take a look here. Oh yeah, here it is. 197 bottles.
That's it. Wow.
So that's it. 197 bottles of this. Really different label. I mean, look at this. They got these people. What are they doing? Kissing on the field. Picnic. Yeah.
Picnic on the corner of the field. Are they going after the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society?
Yeah, I mean, talk about crazy names, right? Yeah, so this should be fun. This is different. You don't normally see Auchentoshan and Marsala, I don't believe. Maybe there are some expressions that have some Marsala in them, but this is full Marsala, so this should be pretty interesting. 58.6%. So we'll go ahead and sip on that. We'll pass that bottle around. I'm going to pull up this video. I'm just going to play part of this video. I'm not going to do the whole thing because. Oh, actually, this isn't very long, so I can do that. Hold on a second, guys. Gotta buffer it up here and share it.
My name is Auchentoshan. Auchentoshan is been here about longer. Think about it.
Pretty cool mash tun. Has a sliding door on it. Kind of fun, old school. Wooden washbacks. Triple distilled. All right, we all know about casks. All right. Okay, so that was a little bit just to kind of get a sense of the distillery. It's not a big distillery. You know, it's just those three stills. I don't know if you guys saw, but on the spirit safe in the middle, it said intermediate still. That's something you'll see often in Ireland. You'll see the different stills, you know, coming off different places. But what do you guys think of the Marsala? So dry. Dry. All right.
Peppery, dry. It needed water.
Earthy,
It needed water.
like a bunch of berries covered in mud.
A bunch of berries covered in mud. All right.
I wanted to say a different word, but I used mud.
Very diplomatic of you.
Just so you know.
I mean, it's very thick, right? I mean, it feels very syrupy in a way. I don't know. To me, it does. I get a little bit of that earthiness too. I actually don't mind it. To me, it's not.
That's what I go for.
But Auchentoshan is so not delicate, but soft. Like the Marsala is pretty dense
Oh yeah.
on that whiskey.
Yeah, it takes over for sure.
Yeah.
You're not really getting a lot of the spirit on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially.
I mean, it's good. It's just, it would probably take me a while to drink that bottle.
This would,
As opposed to, no, sorry.
this
But
would
at
be great.
58%, it's standing up to the Marsala more than the usual, the core range.
I think that's what you're saying.
I wanted to find something different, and obviously I did.
I think it's really nice.
Yeah.
I like
This
it very
is
much.
interesting because Edradour does a lot of Marsala. I would love to try them side by side to see like a heavier distillate with that heavy wine and the Auchentoshan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does Edradour do the entire maturation in the Marsala, or is it finished?
I think in the single cask range, it's full.
It's full.
Okay.
Yeah.
And cask strength as well.
Okay, we'll wait for the ease.
I just made chicken marsala the other night, and it's like, okay, this would have been a perfect whiskey with that. I mean, there's the first pairing that I can get tonight.
I get some feathers on this one. You get anybody get feathers? Feathers.
Yeah, we got it. Okay.
I actually, it's funny that you say that because I wrote kind of meaty, but like poultry. I seriously wrote poultry. Poultry with gravies and mushed berries.
Farm raised haggis myself, but
I wrote chicken.
Okay, just an observation. I know.
I gotta get a water. I forgot to get the water.
If the comments are going here after the second dram, we may be in for a long night.
I'm still able to hold my tongue on some of the things. There's something about like the finish or like the second half of the palate experience that's like bodily in some way, like blood or phlegm or something. It's hard for me to.
All right, tasting.
I wrote sweaty skin.
Yeah. There's something like sweaty skin. Like there's
Sweaty,
like
dirty
something
skin.
bodily. Yeah.
We have bodily fluids all over the table now. So thanks for
like human skin and
You're
chicken.
All right, let's move on that.
Thank you.
All right, we'll label it autopsy. Okay.
So this next distillery has a really interesting name that's very difficult to pronounce. Most people will call this Auchroisk, which is what I first called it, and I think most people probably first called it Auchroisk. However, I'm actually going to play a video that tells you how to, or the guy talks about how you're supposed to pronounce it, but it's a Thrusk, or a Thusk, or a Thoisk, or what, something like that. So you'll hear it. You'll hear it. So I'll read a little bit about this distillery. I have a little bit of notes here. It was established after Dory's Well. They're located in the Speyside for one. They're in Banffshire, Speyside. So it was established after Dory's Well was discovered and found to have water similar to the water used by the Glen Spey distillery, which was used by Justerini and Brooks to produce malt whiskey for their blends, J&B. So we know J&B. Hold on one second here.
I was going to say someone's calling.
No,
it's wrong.
yes, yes, yes.
No, it's wrong.
That was my daughter. I had to take that her call. The well's water was used to produce a test batch of whiskey at the Glen Spey distillery and was approved, which led to the start of construction of the Thrust distillery at the site of the well in 1972 to produce whiskey for the J&B blend. Production started in 1974, so they're not an old distillery. First single malt was produced in 1978. It was rebranded as, and this is interesting because some of us know of the Singleton. It was rebranded as the Singleton in 1986, as the name Auchroisk was perceived as too difficult for consumers outside of Scotland. Still too difficult for consumers outside of Scotland. The name changed back to Auchroisk in 2001 when bottling was released under the name Auchroisk 10-year-old Flora and Fauna in the Diageo Flora and Fauna range. And in 2008, the name was changed again, this time to the Singleton of Auchroisk. The distillery is used as a hub for batting Auchroisk with the Highland whiskies used in J&B before being shipped off for marrying and bottling. The name Auchroisk means shallow ford across the Red Stream in Gaelic, referring to the nearby Mulban Burn. All right, so there you go.
Is this? They're not related to the other Singletons, are they?
So the brand, the Singleton, and actually the guy that I'm going to play on the video, he talks a little bit about it. But they were part of that world. They were actually the first Singleton, and now you have Dufton and Glenord.
There's one more, but I can't remember which.
So is Auchroisk then a Diageo distillery?
Yes. Yep.
Is Glendullan the other one?
Yes, Glendullan.
Right, yes.
Dufton, Glendullan, and Glenord. So what we're tasting tonight, this is from Infrequent Flyers. This is the independent bottler that we've had a number of bottles from over the years. Actually, we just had one in the Advent calendar, which was a Linkwood, I believe, or I don't remember. I can't remember what it was, but this was 286 bottles for this single cask. On the label of the bottle, it's wrong that you have in the kit. It's not a tawny port. I don't know where I got that from. This is a Sauternes Hogshead. It's the cask type with a Sauternes finish. Interesting. So it should taste like Sauternes. This is 59.1% ABV. It is 15 years old.
Okay, Charles?
Yes.
So the email is incorrect?
Yes.
Besides 24, the ABV is incorrect.
Yes, it's a different, I don't know where I think I got that online, that info, and it was the wrong bottle.
So this is
59.1.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anne needs to make sure that her notes on the placemat are correct in case anybody in the future finds them and looks at them, because we never do.
And I'm with you. Mine are too.
That's because it's totally pregnant. Otherwise,
Stick them in the cabinet.
We have all kinds of notes.
All right, I'm gonna pull up this video here. This is actually kind of a fun one. It's oh shoot, what happened to my mouse here? Hold on a second. Of all times for my battery to get low on my mouse. Let me see here. This video is fairly long, but I'm only going to play the beginning part of it, so just FYI. Let me get this loaded here. So this is a guy, I'll just introduce him real quick. He, around the same, I don't know, some of you know that back in 2017, I did a dram a day for the whole year and did a review on it, scored it. I posted it on Instagram, a photo, all that kind of stuff. Well, around the same time, this guy in Scotland was doing the same exact thing as me, except he was doing a video of each dram and talking about it. And he was raising money for charity, which was great. I wish I could have done that at the time. But so this guy this is one of his days was an Auchroisk bottling. And so he talks a little bit about the distillery, the pronunciation, some of that fun stuff. Really, really fun guy to kind of follow on YouTube. But I'll play this here. I won't play too much of it, so just so you know. This is the flora and fauna that I talked about.
Right, evening everybody. It's still Thursday, 27th of October, and I'm still going through. I'm going to do 3 tonight because I really need to get ahead of the
So you
game.
kind of cheated.
So,
I do many at a time. I did one every day. I did.
The third of the night, we're still in Speyside, we're still in the A's, and it is this one, which when you saw the name appear on the opening credits, you might have thought Auchroisk. As I did initially, to be perfectly honest, until relatively recently when I actually looked up the name and pronunciation of it. And it's more Auchroisk than Auchroisk. It's less of the cr and more of a th sound. So it's more Auchroisk even. I'm going to struggle with this, just like I did with Miyagi-Kyo, but we'll see how we go. So Auchentoshan that we did yesterday was a relatively new distillery built in 1975, as is this, which was built in 1974. This is where it is in Speyside. So when we started with Balblair, we went down slightly south to Auchentoshan, and now we're actually going to go slightly northeast, but still not very far to Auchroisk. Auchroisk is Gaelic for shallow ford across the Red Stream, which references a nearby, it's not even a river, it's more like a burn. I can't remember the name of it. So the distillery was built by Justerini & Brooks, J&B blended whiskey you've probably heard of, and this was their 4th distillery after they'd already built Glen Spey, Knockando and Strathmore. And apparently it was a burn, God, I can't remember the name of it, was it Dorney's Well? There was a spring that was discovered essentially, and it was tested, very, very pure water, right, we'll build a distillery here. And like Auchentoshan, it was a distillery that was built essentially to produce malt whiskey for blended whiskies to satisfy the demand. Now, because Auchroisk is not obvious pronunciation of Auchroisk, it's quite a complicated word to look at and figure out how to pronounce. it became known as the Singleton. Now, J&B was eventually, through conglomerates and etc., was part of Diageo. And this was about the mid to late 80s where a fuss became Singleton. But Diageo then took the Singleton as a brand name itself. And right now you can find the Singleton of Dufftown, the Singleton of Glenord, which I think is Asia only, maybe even kind of like Taiwan only or something like that. And there was a Singleton of Auchroisk as well. So Auchroisk has become kind of not the Singleton anymore and is now gone back to Auchroisk in kind of just after the turn of the millennium, but there was a Singleton version as well. Because it's used for blends, it's a bit like Auchentoshan. Not a lot of it is available in bottlings as a single malt. This particular one is the 10-year-old Flora and Fauna version, which was a range that was launched by Diageo. There were sort of semi-official bottlings. They weren't hugely available, but they were if you want a Auchroisk, and there was when Diageo owned Blagnot, there was a Blagnot version, Rosebank, a few others, as part of this Flora and Fauna range. So this is what the bottle looks like, and all of the others, the Rosebank, Blagnot, the labelling looked very, very familiar, similar even, and familiar if you knew it, obviously. And this was basically the only way that you could get any kind of official bottling of it. Anything else is an independent bottling, and even then, there's not that much of it. It's still available. I should point out, it was very generously donated.
Okay. I'm not going to continue listening to him talk about his dram, but we'll talk about this dram a little bit. So I did try and find and search for a video that showed the actual distillery, maybe the stills, kind of that. There's not a lot out there. It's not a distillery that you can go visit. You know, some of these Diageo distilleries are very well guarded. You're not just able to get a tour and go visit. So there weren't any videos to actually show you production. There were some pictures online, but I'm not going to go ahead and, you know, find pictures at this point. But what do you guys think of this bottle? I'm curious.
Oh, we got to drink it, Ann. Was that the one we finished? Oh, sorry, we're ahead.
I like it.
Lots of notes here of rock candy, cantaloupe, rock candy, light finish, great taste.
Yeah.
Citrus and tangerine.
Citrus, tangerine.
It was.
Have you had anything from them?
I got some
very nice
raspberries and bittersweet chocolate on the palate.
Holly, have we had a Thrusk in the shop? Ever?
I feel like Dremore
Oh, maybe, yeah.
had one. You see it once in a while.
But it's not too common, right?
No.
No.
But this is an independent bottler.
I think the Dremore.
It's not like they're bottling their own.
Yeah, they don't have their own brand.
They
Like it
don't.
said
So
they were one of the singletons, but not anymore.
Well, I just thought it was fascinating reading the closed captioning and just envisioning that closed captioning bot meeting autocorrect.
Well, you should read the closed captioning on Holly's videos on Instagram. Those are better than a lot of these things. So
I'm not really sure what the Black Knight or never mind, say.
So pretty solid dram, pretty good, tasty one. Number one. Wow, we got a number one so far here. Interesting.
Charles, what is Sauternes count for? If it was whiskey advent calendar, would that be ex fortified wine or ex wine? Like,
yeah, it would be wine. Yeah, it would be wine barrel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a dessert wine, but it's not fortified. It's just a high in sugar white wine, basically. Yeah, yeah. I'm right on. Am I right on that? I want to make sure I'm not 100%.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm right on. Okay, yeah, thought so.
In Canada, the Canadians,
all right, that was fun.
Switch from bourbon to Canadian whiskey.
I love going through these distilleries. Just a whole different way to approach whiskey. for sure.
It's fun to do it alphabetically once you don't know. Then you know.
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason for this when you go by letter, you know.
30 days to stock up.
All right, so we're gonna move on. Actually, this is one of Holly's gems of a distillery here. This was part of her portfolio. We've had actually quite a bit of Aultmore over the years. So they're also up in the Speyside region. They're in Keith, which is right where Strathisla is as well. It's near Keith or in Keith. The name is derived from the phrase an Aultmore in Gaelic for big burn, referring to its water source in the Auchentoshan burn. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The distillery was founded in 1895 by Alexander Edward, the owner of the Benrinnes distillery. It was originally powered by a water wheel and then adapted to use a steam engine instead, which ran day and night for 70 years, apart from maintenance. During maintenance hours, power was provided by the mainly retired water wheel. So the steam engine is now on display at the distillery, and then the distillery was expanded in 1898 and production doubled. Let's see here, let's move on. There's lots of wars that happened. It was sold and blah, blah, blah. The malting floors closed in 1968, and the entire distillery was rebuilt and expanded in 1970, which is when you see a lot of that happening. There was a lot of, you know, distilleries not being fully demolished, but really refurbished in the 70s and the late 60s, 70s. A lot of that was going on. Aultmore reopened in 1971. And then in 1998, the distillery was sold back to Bacardi, the subsidiary of Dewar's, which had previously owned Aultmore between 1923 and 1925. And then they produced their first official bottling, which was a 12-year-old in 2004. They also had a Flora and Fauna release earlier, and an earlier rare malts release as well. Let me see. I don't remember if I had something on Aultmore here. Yeah, I do. I have a very short video, but let's talk about the whiskey first. All right, so we're going to Gordon MacPhail for this bottling. This is part of their Connoisseur's Choice range, their line, which is their you know, really nice line. This is also a UK exclusive. So the first one we had, the single cask from Lochranza, Arran, was a UK exclusive as well. This is 15 years old, refill bourbon cask. That's why you get the really light color. This one is 54.6% ABV, only 241 bottles of this. Oh, and actually I didn't mention the prices on these. Let me go back, pull that up real quick. So just so you know, the Auchentoshan, our second whiskey, was $134.66. The Auchroisk was $159.14, and this Aultmore is $146.93. So all kind of in that 150 range. I'll just mention the other two in the last two, so I don't have to pull this back up. The Balblair was 175, and then the Ballechin was 244.91. So
are these delivered prices?
Yes, this is the actual price on my credit card. So there you go. So this is kind of classic Aultmore. You should be able to taste a lot of the distillate in this because it is a clean refill bourbon cask. We're not covering it up with any sherry or wine casks with this. So this should be a pretty tasty, maybe brighter green apple kind of citrusy whiskey, hopefully. And I'll go ahead and play this Oh yeah, Holly mentions it's called the Italian bakery malt. Because sometimes you get that kind of cookie note, I guess, right? Or a baking spice cookie.
It's like cannoli, like these cream custard kind of yeah, baking spice sort of notes.
Got it.
Except they'd have been hit with some peat smoke.
All right, I'm gonna share this screen here real quick. It's just a minute, a little over a minute long, this next video.
Someone said, would you go back?
No, that guy.
This one was always that I feel like it's
That one.
Mhm.
I have had some standard Gordon MacPhail, which is much better than this one.
What is that?
It's a Euclid grain. It's not John, no.
Skip.
Club for the Curious. Whiskey Me and Gin Me. Okay.
You like it?
Give it a second to buffer.
It's growing.
Pretty area.
Yes.
I like to think of Aultmore as being a shy little creature that's hidden in the hills of Speyside. For many, many years, it was used as a malt for blending, but we've now given Aultmore the spotlight, and it's full of character, but it has an ethereal character. The 12-year-old, we get these wonderful notes of grassiness and herbal notes too, and also summer flowers. When you taste the whiskey, you are very much transported back to the distillery. Most distilleries are built beside a good, clean source of water, and Aultmore was no exception to that. The old flywheel is still in the distillery, but Aultmore embraced new technology to produce very clean, crisp, new make spirits. Aultmore has no colour added to it. It's non-chill filtered, and we bottle it at 46% alcohol. So it really is just as nature intended.
This is 54.
All right, so there you go. You had a little bit of you can see a little bit of Aultmore there. Aultmore is not open to the public, right, Holly? No, yeah. So you don't really get to go visit them unless you're with Bacardi or with Holly. I don't even know. Have you ever thought about bringing people there? Is that even a possibility?
Yeah, we could.
Yeah. Well, someday.
They were closed like last year when we were in Speyside. They're expanding.
Oh, okay.
So they were closed for even production because they were in expansion. So they went from 4 stills to I'm not sure how many.
Okay.
Oh. So what are they blending it with? Or they just
It's going into Dewars.
okay.
It's known to be a very valuable malt. So in the blended Scotch world, each malt will have a tier, and there'll be other malts listed on that tier that are just as valuable. So there'll be even trades for barrels. And Aultmore is one of the top malts for blending. So it's very valuable for trading.
How many different whiskeys blended whiskeys would use it then?
It's probably in a lot because it used to be owned by the Diageo parent company. So it's probably still in some Diageo blends, but probably not a lot. But it still would be used in other blends outside of Dewars as well.
So, Holly, most Speyside whiskeys are not peated, but this has peat in it. It's kind of unusual.
It's not peated. I think you're getting that from some of the oak.
Yeah,
There's like an earthiness.
It seems very smoky to me. Not on
I
the
mean, I
nose,
definitely like I
on
wrote.
the palate. The palate's kind of smoky, and I get that clove smoke.
Yeah,
I get that too, Shalom. I was like,
Yeah,
this.
I
I
wrote
thought it
very
was
light
too.
peat on my finish note.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
heated.
Oh, that's interesting.
Wow. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
It seems peaty to me.
It's not though. It's not
Huh,
peat at all.
that is weird.
But I see what you're saying.
Tastes a little earthy to me in the thin.
How does it get that smoke taste to it without the peat?
Wood.
Yeah.
Oh.
Especially with a refill bourbon barrel, you're gonna have there's not a lot of other influences besides the wood or the oak, so if you are gonna detect some smoke, it's not gonna be hidden by wine or sherry or anything like that. So it's just from the wood. It's not a
It's
feeling.
good.
And to make it more confusing, sometimes you can get smoke from Oloroso sherry.
Right.
So there can be smoking. Smoke is a very broad flavor note.
Yeah.
Do we know why nature intended whiskey to be 46%?
Well, we'll have to call Stephanie.
Yeah.
You could text her right now if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm sure she would love that.
It's what,
Is it 2 a.m.?
All right, you guys good with the Aultmore?
Yep.
All right.
Now we get into the bees.
Now we're into the B's. Oh my God, we just finished the A's. It took 2.66 tastings to get through the A's.
What was that one?
We didn't have an official farewell to the A's, did we?
Oh yeah. We had the Abanderg. Remember that? The Abanderg. Oh boy, that was our best one of the A's, I think.
Oh, that's the best whiskey I've ever had.
And then we had the Arbiki. That was pretty special too.
Are these the ones from Harris?
The Avant-Garde is from Paris.
Yeah. No, Lewis. Wasn't it
Lewis.
Lewis.
Fish in the barrel. Yes.
All right, so now we're moving to a classic. We're moving to Balblair. Now, I tried to find a special bottle of Balblair for tonight, but it was really too impossible. There's very few independent bottlings of Balblair, very, very few. We had one, and we were shocked that we got it, which I probably should have bought one a long time ago and just sat on it. But I couldn't find anything, even in the UK, just like some random Balblair single cask. It was pretty much impossible, unless it was something that was just way too expensive. So I decided to just go with the standard 18-year, which is actually not a cheap bottle, considering how much whiskeys go for these days. I think this one was $175, somewhere around there. All right, so a little history on Balblair. I will play a short video on it as well. They're located in the Highlands north of Inverness. Really beautiful small distillery. They were founded in 1790, so they go way back. The distillery was rebuilt in 1895 to be closer to the railway station. However, let's see how so good was the original water source that they rebuilt the distillery to ignore a nearby burn in favor of the original. To this day, Balblair continues to use this original water source. So they actually moved and came back. Let's see here. They are part of the Inverhouse group. Other distilleries on the Inverhouse group are Knockdhu, Old Pulteney, Balmenoch, Speyburn, all really, really great distilleries. We visited Speyburn recently. I've been to Knockdhu. Really, really wonderful distilleries. Actually, Dave, you're going to get to go to Old Pulteney. Pretty exciting. I would love to do that. They have one of the oldest archives in distilling, which is kind of cool. The first ledger entry is dated January 25th, 1800, which is kind of cool. It said
actually legal then?
no. It said sale to David Kirkcaldy at Ardmore, 1 gallon of whiskey for 1.8 pounds. There you go. So some of us have seen Balblair. Back in the day, they used to release their whiskeys by vintage. It would say the actual year it was distilled, so you would you had to figure out how old it was. But in April of 2019, they changed that, and now they have their core kind of range. It's the 12, 15, 18, 21, and 25-year-old. And then they also got a lot of recognition when they were in the movie The Angel Share, which some of you might have seen. Really quirky, rough but fun movie that takes place at Balblair, and actually put really Balblair on the map because movie fanatics kind of went there just to see the place. All right, so we're drinking the standard 18-year. So we're dropping an ABV on this one, obviously. This is now that, what do they call it? Natural whiskey level, 46. So they added water to this, obviously. It is natural color, non-chill filtered, which is nice for a 46%. So this is matured initially in American oak ex-bourbon, followed by first fill Spanish oak. So you have a little bit of that going on. That's where you're getting the color. Yeah, that's pretty much it on this one. So it's a pretty standard 18-year at this point. But it should actually be a nice palate cleanser, if anything. I think it's actually a pretty lovely dram. I would drink some water before you have this because it's going to be a lot lighter than what we've been having recently.
Yeah, especially a low very has like really
So Charles, I remember after our rainy golf at Brora, we went there.
Yeah,
and it was very cool because I remember they were.
It was very cool.
People were filling.
Yeah, we were cold.
Yeah, we were cold, but they were filling barrels, and and they were like going from barrel to barrel, and they were like pouring whiskey it was whiskey at that point everywhere, and it was just like, whoa, don't do that.
Yeah, I remember watching the barrels fall off of the truck. Remember they were
Oh yeah,
they were rolling them
onto
off
that
which was really awesome.
My second stop.
Okay, I'm gonna play a little video here on Balblair.
It's in Tain. Pardon? It's in Tain.
Not far from Tain, yep. All right, let me share this here. Expand. Closed caption. This is a guy who's traveling around to distilleries. But you can actually see, okay, where did my mouse go now? Come on now. Hold on a second, there it is.
On my 13th day in Scotland, my second stop was at Balblair Distillery, which is about 20 to 25 minutes from the Donach Castle. In the field along the road leading to the distillery, you'll see a Pictus stone, Clach Goryak, which is thought to be around 4,000 years old.
Yeah, so that stone plays a significant part in their branding. It's actually on the label. This right here.
Is that an old sign, vintage is time to perfection?
Rock on.
Are they coming this back? No, but
Balblair Distillery is located in Edradour, Rossshire, in the Highlands of Scotland. The distillery offers 3 different tours with very knowledgeable staff. The top tour is a personal tour through the distillery and includes a masterclass with the distillery manager.
That's where we were freezing our butts off right there in the mash room.
Balblair Distillery rarely uses any peated malt, and during the tour, you'll see where the grain is turned to grist in the Forties.
That's a big mill.
And mash tuns where the grist is turned into wort beer, and the wash and spirit stills where the new make spirit is distilled. The Balblair Distillery has one wash still with 12,000 liters capacity and two spirit stills, 8,500 liters capacity. The shape of the stills is very flat, and they don't have any reflux bowls or constrictions. With a normal distillation rate, this would result in a very sharp and vodka-like character. The critical stage is the spirit still. Since Balblair has two spirit stills, they can each reach a normal output with a lower distillation speed. This allows the alcohols to separate better and produce the very smooth and fruity flavors of Balblair. Balblair has many warehouses, all built in the old Danish style. This has several impacts on production. On the one hand, you have to have more logistics, since a higher warehouse the pallet is much easier to handle. On the other hand, the angel share depends a lot on the place where the cask is located in the warehouse. Having a flat dunnage warehouse with only 3 rows of casks above each other means all the casks mature very slowly and with little evaporation. In the tasting room, you may notice.
All right, seen enough of that. That's the angel share there. All right, so that's a little bit of Balblair, just so you can get a kind of sense of the story. Very small, right? One wash still, 2 spirit stills, which is quite unique. Typically, you'll have an equal amount of wash and spirit stills. So they are able to kind of do a different production to make a fruitier kind of spirit, which is interesting. No reflux bulbs, but very, very small distillery, very cute. I'm bleeding. This isn't good. I don't know why. Maybe the Balblair is making me bleed. Not sure.
The mill looked very large. You're saying it's a small distillery, but it looked, unless they
pretty standard.
They filmed it funny. It looked bigger than usual.
I think they were just close up to it. It's a pretty standard Porteous mill in size. It's not a big mill.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the 18 year?
I like it.
Yeah,
It's nice.
right?
Nothing special, but decent.
I mean, we're spoiled,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
right?
Now, who has done that to us?
I'll say, you should have started with, what do you think, spoiled brats?
Yeah, what do you think, spoiled brats? I love it. I think it's actually pretty tasty. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to spend $175 on it, but you know,
it's
for an
pretty
8.
well balanced, though. I think it's pretty good.
I totally agree, Shalom. Yep. And actually, when we were at the distillery, the 15 year really stood out. Both times that I was there, the 15 was like, that's kind of, I think, even the better sweet spot. But I wanted to do the 18 for tonight. So
I was just thinking about that. The New Hampshire liquor store has the 15 year at about $115. That might be worth a try.
I think you should get it for us. I mean, yes.
No, seriously, Larry, that would be it's a really good whiskey. Again, lower ABV, easier sipper, you know, if you have people over or whatever that, you know, haven't really tasted a lot of whiskey, that would be a really good one for sure. Yes. Yeah.
Anne is running
Yeah,
downstairs.
so we had a really, really great array of ways to say Balblair with that closed caption. The best one I saw was Balblair. Like your bowels. No, it was BOWL.
Oh, okay. It wasn't related to a Japanese.
I was like, wait a minute, that could not be right. That Balblair would be. That's just
it's a cleansing dram.
If we carry it at the shop, I'm going to put a little note that says Bob Blair's favorite.
I like the Balblair too.
We just finished this the other night. It's a Balblair 05.
Oh, the old vintage releases.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to throw away the boxes.
No one could do math. That's literally what they said. No one could do math, so they got rid of it.
Well, the problem is it depends when you open it, right? I mean, if you can't know, you have to know when it was
It
bottled.
tells you when it was bottled.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you can't
But
do the
still, no one wanted to do the math.
Yeah.
I understood that the Balblair wouldn't produce anything or put in a bottle until the year was right or something like that.
You're correct, Holly. It says on the box, distilled 2005, bottled 2015. So it's a 19-year-old.
Wow. 10-year-old. Good thing you're good at math there, Peter.
It's whatever you want.
He can do math.
Their case was just made.
Bottled whenever you want.
Actually, the really difficult thing there.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to the last whiskey. Now, this is really something interesting, and I'm going to show you a funny video too, but so check this out. I didn't know this going into today. I didn't find this out until today. Ballechin Distillery was a Scotch whiskey distillery that operated between 1810 and 1927. It was one of 7 original farm distilleries operating in Perthshire. Out of the 7, Edradour is the only one remaining. So I had no idea that Ballechin was an actual distillery in the old days. That's probably why it's on this list that I got. There's no way I'm going to find a bottle from 1927, which would be the last year that they were open. And if there was one, it would probably cost $100,000 at least. So we're not doing it in our tasting, but that was really cool. I had no idea that it was a closed distillery, an old distillery.
But now is Edradour making it or just?
Yes. So yeah. So since 2002, Edradour resurrected the Ballechin brand of whiskey, and it's been it's their peated expression. Okay, so whenever you see a Ballechin, you're going to know that it's Edradour, but it's their peated.
Yeah.
But I had no idea that it was originally a distillery. I thought that was pretty cool. And, so technically we're not drinking a Ballechin, but yes, we are. I don't know how you want to look at that. I mean,
is Edradour in the same place as where the Ballechin distillery
no,
was?
so there were 7 distilleries in that area.
Gotcha, okay.
And Ballechin was one of them.
Okay.
But Edradour was the only one that survived.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, so... and Edradour is a beautiful little distillery. Really, really nice. So this is a pretty special bottle I had shipped over. This is a 19-year-old Ballechin. This is matured in Manzanilla casks. It's not finished. It's fully matured in Manzanilla sherry. It was distilled in 2004, bottled in 2023. Let's see here. So it looks like it's actually it is a small batch. It's three casks. So it's not a single cask. It's 3 casks, small batch, 55% ABV. Again, this one was like $245. It was up there in price. Now, what's really cool, it's very peated for one. They say it's at least 50 ppm, at least, which is the highest kind of level besides Auchentoshan and some of those super high ones. But the highest levels on Islay are in that 50 ppm range. This is at least 50, so it could even be higher than 50. Now, what's really cool is I found a video today of a guy. He's pretty well known in the whiskey community. He's been around forever, and this is actually a pretty old video, but the video is a Ballechin 12-year-old fully matured in Manzanilla, and the video is from 7 years ago. So I'm thinking that it's the same barrels or same time frame as this one. This is just 19 years instead of 12 years. So I'm gonna play this video, and he's a character. He's from Germany. It's a little bit hard to understand, but he's a classic, and it's kind of fun to watch him talk about this. He really likes this Ballechin. So let me pull up that here real quick. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but we can watch part of it.
Pretty sure they're poured already.
Yes, they're on the video. Patrons have already poured.
Fucking dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
Smoky. Give me a second here. All right.
Is Manzanilla like an apple brandy or something? Because Manzanilla is a dry white wine.
Yeah, so he talks a little bit about Manzanilla
from Spain.
Let me put the closed captions on because he's a little tough.
Alex was a type of sherry.
All right, let me. All right, this guy's classic here.
It's Danny DeVito.
No, he's not Danny DeVito. This is 2017, so 7 years ago.
Welcome to Whiskey.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Lüning, Horst Lüning. I'm the master taster of Whiskey.com, and today we have a really rare bottle in my cask. It's a 12-year-old Ballechin Manzanilla cask maturation, and priced around 100. It's 55.6 ABV.
Very close to the same ABV.
This bottle.
This is video 7 years ago. Same exact
market.
whiskey.
So unfortunately, abroad or outside Europe, you might not be able to find this one. Manzanilla sherry cask matured, distilled on June 1st, 2004, and bottled on October 28th, 2016.
Same year.
Yep. This cask to
Same year, distillation.
278, and the outturn had been 495 bottles. Natural color, cask strength.
That's pretty cool. I think
Heavily
we found
peated.
one of the sister casks, or
is the
3 of them.
Brand of the Edradour distillery when they bottle peated whiskey, smoky whiskey. Here the same with this, and in the back, yeah, they tell a little bit. At first, Manzanilla. Manzanilla is a sherry from the southwest of Spain, and the Manzanilla is a sherry of the group of Fino sherries. That mean they're using white grapes, and those white grapes are not oxidized during the maturation process. The casks are filled only, well, 4/5 or 5/6, so that they're lying horizontally, so that there is a segment on top with nothing in it, and in this there will be some yeast foam protecting the liquid from the contact with oxygen, so there will be CO2 in it, and by this they hinder the sherry, the oxidization of the sherry. The Manzanilla grapes are harvested a little early, a week or two before the main Fino sherry harvest starts. So they have a little bit more of acidity in it and less sweetness. And yeah, with this, I think we will see some dryness in the whiskey or whatever. I have no idea. And here in the back they say, this bottling has been fully matured in the first fill Manzanilla sherry but rich mahogany in color. Yeah. The nose has prominent notes of saddle leather and earthy peat. On the palate, smoke and peat very much in evidence with medicinal notes of sugar, ginger, and a hint of salted almonds. The finish is long, slightly dry, nutty, and warming. Natural cask strength, natural color. And as I said, 55.6 in natural cask strength.
That's 55, right?
Yeah. Okay.
This guy sounded like that before he drank anything?
Smoking. More than at least 50 ppm is written on the back. So it's definitely smoky, and this is 50-50. 50% smoky, 50% like this phenolic medicinal note. Earthy, no idea how earthy is smelling. But this subtle level, but it's the 50,000 miles subtle. Yeah. Not this one. This is Chinese plastic.
All right. We can only take so much of
but not yet the ginger. Probably a hint of vanilla hiding.
All right, where's the
thing?
That's the thing.
All right.
We'll go on. Just in my own defense, I do want to say 2005 to 2015 is actually 11 years.
Okay. So what was so cool about that video is that we're probably drinking one of the sister casks that sat next to the cask that he tasted, because same year distillation. It was 7 years ago that this video came out. We have a 19-year, he had a 12-year. So really kind of cool. I found that really fun. You just don't always run into something like that. I think this is a beautiful whiskey for 19 years. You know, your number one? Oh wow, we got a number one.
It's my number one by a nose.
By a nose.
Actually, not the nose, the palate, but it was number one by a nose. They were all good tonight. We didn't have any Dayargs tonight, or Arbickies.
We didn't have any RBQ.
Yeah.
I've learned my lesson, Shalom. I've learned my lesson. Now, some distilleries, I can't do much about it. You know, it is what it is. But we had a good little stretch tonight. We had a good little stretch. Maybe the Marsala might have not worked. That might have been the one that.
Yeah, I think Auchentoshan was my least favorite. Yeah,
we liked it.
I liked it. Don't get me wrong.
I liked it. It was my least favorite. I gave it an 87, but everything else was higher than that. So it's pretty good taste.
Great tasting.
Auchroisk.
Auchroisk. Not the Aultmore. Wow.
I liked the Aultmore, but.
Wow. Sauternes. And you had the real Sauternes.
I liked the Arran too, the Lochranza.
The Arran was my favorite.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was really good.
So a lot of random favorites here. All right, let's go through the room here. What were your favorites here in the room? Just go through real quick.
Ballechin, Arran, and Auchroisk.
Ballechin, Arran, and Auchroisk. Okay. Tony?
To me, it's
Ballechin and Arran.
Ballechin and Arran?
And Auchroisk.
And Auchroisk, okay. What about you, Kim? What did you like? Arran and Auchroisk. Wow, a lot of Arran and Auchroisk. Nice.
I feel a warm place for Balblair because we were there, so I have to go with that one.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. What about you, Jim? What were your thoughts?
I'd have to say Ballechin and Arran.
Okay, Dan.
Arran and the Aultmore.
Wow, Arran. I'm loving that. Arran did really well. That's cool. What about you, Joe?
Ballechin and Arran.
Nice. Ballechin and Arran. There we go. Quaid.
I like that.
Quaid said Bardstown Bourbon Company. Aultmore and Auchroisk?
Yeah,
all right, Aultmore, number one for Quaid. Nice. Nice. What about you, Oswaldo?
Arran.
Arran. Nice. Wow, little old Arran. Who would ever guessed?
Well, that Arran, it's very balanced. Most of the sherry you get now is just heavy sherry, and that was what sherry should be. I feel like.
I agree. Yeah, it wasn't overpowering. Even though the color was there, it could be a little confusing just by looking at it. But yeah, it wasn't too powerful, which was nice. So, all right, so we're gonna wrap up Scotland A to Z Part 3. I thought this was a really fun one tonight. Some fun videos too. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I don't remember when the next one is. I think it's in a couple of months at least, with all of the travel we have.
No. We have one on the 26th.
No. Scotland A to Z.
A to Z. Oh, okay, sorry.
Just keep checking your emails though, because we have a lot of things coming up.
Oh yeah, there's a lot
of that.
March, April, May. We just added something early March. Starlight. A bunch of new independent bottlers for Scotch.
Did we get to start? We didn't get to start.
Oh, I haven't announced that. I just found out like 10 minutes before the tasting from Holly.
So just keep an eye on your emails because there's some really cool in person with people coming into town and virtual. So
okay, great. So I'm waiting for Charles to stop recording.
Those days.
Because I can't help myself, but I don't want it to be recorded.